Back here. Up here. Up here.
In 30 years of farming, Joe Brown has learned to be tough about his sheep.
Back here. Red.
Still, nothing could prepare him for what he saw in his sheep yards the morning after the massacre.
All these animals destroyed, and they were hacked and butchered and stabbed and bludgeoned, and I got a hell of a fright, really.
At first, they thought it was a pack of savage dogs. But when they looked closer, they knew it was humans.
Some of them had their eyes torn out or gouged out, and they were walking around in the yards. So they were obviously suffering.
Like you're holding the animal out, like on an imaginary altar if you haven't got an altar. That is.
The man who did it, John Charles Burdo.
You puncture the heart, make a sign, slit the throat and whatnot, and it goes on from there.
So where were the sheep?
In the furthest paddock over there. We walked into the middle of them.
He hasn't been back to the sheepyard since the night of the massacre.
I lit a few candles and drew up a rough circle and dropped some symbols on the ground.
This is how Burdo prepared for his sacrifice, with a ceremonial circle.
The circle is a protection.
He believed that inside it, he couldn't be harmed. His protector that night was the devil himself.
It was like a father to me. It was like a security. It was like a bond.
Even though the devil is, you must have known evil.
Yeah. He was still good. It's strange as it may seem, but like he's there, but he's bad and he's evil and everything else, but he was still good.
Did you love the devil?
At the time I did, yeah.
To find the devil in Warwick was an experience this quiet, profoundly respectable town has yet to get over. It's a God-fearing farming community, proud of its schools and churches. The last thing Warwick wanted was to become a case study of the dangers of the occult.
You know, you think Warwick's a quiet little country town where everybody knows everybody and everybody's business. And for something like that to happen right in our midst, we were shocked.
You're aware that in Africa and other countries they do have black magic, but certainly not in the Warwick district, you know. It was a complete surprise to me.
When you chose to massacre the sheep as your ritual, why did you choose them?
For one reason only, the Lamb of God.
And that meant they had to die?
Yeah, they had to die, but not for God, for another God.
What tools did you use to kill the sheep?
2 butcher's knives and a tomahawk.
Wayne Richard Cockram. Like Burdo, he was 17 at the time of the massacre. What did you think when you'd finished?
Holy hell. I wake up the next morning feeling pretty guilty. I had a gut feeling we'd get caught.
They were picked up within a week. Wayne Cockram hid from the cameras. John Burdo spat at them. Both went to jail for the crime. Though no one will say precisely how many were there that night, there was definitely a third, Craig Anderson. When did you realise that there was devil worship involved?
When I spoke to Craig Anderson.
Detective Sergeant Bob Bennett of the Warwick Police.
It was obvious, he told me then, because he had a guilt complex and he just couldn't live with his guilt. So he told us everything.
To protect his witness, Detective Sergeant Bob Bennett found Craig a hideaway. A farm 40 kilometres from Warwick on the Darling Downs. On the way out, Craig stopped to break the news to his mother, Wendy.
I said, oh, what are you doing at the police station, giving a statement? I said, how on earth would you know what went on there? And he said, he was there. And I said, you were what? You know, you're in amongst that? And I just started yelling at him and he ran out the back door. That was the last time I saw him, I thought he'd run to his room to get away from my temper.
Two days later, Craig Anderson was dead, found hanging from this tree. The police investigated the death of Craig Anderson and found that he committed suicide by hanging himself from that tree. Yet the people who knew Craig well still wonder about that, and his mother, even today, can't accept it.
Pelting down with rain in the middle of the night, or whatever it was, 10 o'clock at night, you're going to climb a dirty big tree in the middle of a storm, tie a perfect noose, and hang yourself. For a start, Craig couldn't tie a noose. There was no way.
No, he didn't seem like the type of fella who'd commit suicide. As when we done the thing with the sheep, he seemed to take it quite well. I didn't even know what really happened to him. I don't know why he hung himself or if he hung himself.
To set up a fully fledged satanic cult in a country town like Warwick is a real test of ingenuity. To begin with, where do you get the information? How do you know which spells and symbols to use? Well, in John Burdo's case, he took the direct approach.